Good afternoon, all, or good morning, good evening, whenever you're watching this. Um, Thank you very much for 100 subscribers. I've been feeding the algorithm of YouTube with live clips of gigs that I've been doing, as well as clips of just playing in my room here, playing blues music, and it seems to be growing quite nicely. And I thought I would mark 100 subscribers by just sort of doing a direct video message to whoever's watching out there in the world and give my 5 favourite blues albums when I was starting out listening to blues, which would have been about 9, 10 years ago now. Um, I love this music so much and I keep discovering new artists all the time. But for the purpose of this video, these will be the 5 that made a very big impact on me pretty much straight away. And the first one is The Fat Man Sings by Fats Domino. Now, there we go. This is just a brilliant album. Things like The Fat Man, which was his first single, I think it was either 1948 or 49. I Hear You Knockin', You Win Again, which I think is a Hank Williams song. But also, there's a song called All By Myself, and it's the second track on here actually. And at the time I didn't know it, but I've since discovered that's actually a Big Bill Broonzy song, and Big Bill has become one of my favourites. Now, this was the first album that I listened to that made me want to discover more about this music. My dad, my brother and me were in the car driving back from Grandma's house, and the MP3 player, which had or the iPod or whatever it was on shuffle, and it went on to this album, and I listened to a couple of songs, and I said, "Fats Domino, Dad, what music is this?" And then Dad said, "I think that's blues." So I was like, "Huh, I like blues." Never were any truer words spoken. And it's just a great collection of songs. I'd really recommend, if you haven't already listened to any Fats Domino, it's a great place to start. If you've not listened to any blues, it's a great place to start. If you have, it's just a great thing to listen to. So, number 1, a bit of Fats for you. Now we move on to number 2, and it's by a bloke who people have probably listened to, or people have come across Robert Johnson for sure. And I listened to Stop Breaking Down Blues yesterday on my way to work, and I thought it was just such a well put together performance in terms of his playing, his singing. And he's one of those names that gets thrown around. People say, "Oh yeah, I love Robert Johnson." Now, I'm a bit sceptical because I think, do you love Robert Johnson based on his merits, or do you love Robert Johnson because you were around in the 60s and groups like the Stones were covering his songs like Love in Vain? But I think that doesn't really matter. If people like him, then they like him, and that's good enough. Now, it's interesting to note that what Robert Johnson actually did was take all of the guitar players that had been recording before him, like Lonnie Johnson, Scrapper Blackwell, Son House, and he synthesized them into a sound which was entirely him. He could mimic and he could impersonate their styles really faithfully, but he created his own material to do so. And I think that's what really strikes a chord with people. And once we'd got back home from visiting Grandma that time, 10 years ago now, pretty much, my dad had or still has the Blues Collection CDs. I know if there's anyone watching here who was around in the UK in the 1990s, that's when they were published in a magazine. And the first one, because I noticed them, blues, I made the connection. And the first song of the first CD was Sweet Home Chicago by Robert Johnson. And I'd already heard the Blues Brothers version. Many trips in the car, that CD had been played. It's a great soundtrack. It's a great film. But I'd been used to the Blues Brothers version, which was based on the Magic Sam version I was later to discover. But this sense of clarity I got when I first heard Robert's version was like, I can still picture it now. It was those opening few notes in the introduction. It's like a veil has been lifted from my sense of being, like the way I viewed the world was with a greater sense of clarity from that moment on because of this music. If anyone has ever experienced that with anything else in life, then you know what I'm talking about. And it just made sense. And I dove headlong into this music. I didn't discover it through the 60s bands like the Stones or even the Beatles, really. I mean, I'd listened to the Beatles sort of now and then, to coin a phrase, but I hadn't dug down into a lot of those groups, listening to the old proper 20s and 30s stuff, Blind Lemon Jefferson, Barbecue Bob, um, Tampa Red, all of them. It really it struck a chord with me. So I got into the 60s stuff a bit later on, Cream, uh, Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac, and the Beatles eventually. But it was the old blues that really spoke to me first. This next album that I've got here is a very interesting one. It's a double album. It's the Muddy Waters Anthology. And I got the CD and I downloaded the songs onto a little MP3 iPod knockoff thing along with all the other CDs that I had. And just the otherworldliness of hearing songs like Little Geneva, um, what other ones? Mean Red Spider, all that open G stuff that he did really early on in his career. Whether he was backed by just a bass player, I think it's Big Crawford, or whether he played with Leroy Foster on second guitar. The groove, the power, and the vulnerability of just hearing him with his guitar. Um, I couldn't really get enough of it. I still can't. But during that period of time, sort of 2015, I remember there was a school trip. I don't remember where it was we went to. It was somewhere near High Wycombe. And I remember just putting my ears in and listening to all these songs and just that sense of calm that you get when you have music that you love. Um, that's it. And it's his band members were always great musicians in their own right. Whether it was harmonica players like Little Walter, guitar players like Jimmy Rogers, piano players like Otis Spann. I mean, that's the core of it right there. Is the group ensemble latching onto his personal groove, and it was like an orchestra, really. And it's just I've always thought for me, Muddy is the archetypal blues singer, and his guitar playing is just outstanding. But his singing and how deep he gets into it, and how deep his teammates get into it with him as well. It elevates the whole thing. So number three is definitely Muddy Waters, the anthology, which is essential listening, in my opinion. All of these are, but this one certainly is. So I started out playing this music in around 2015. I've been studying it for about a year, and I started out playing the harmonica, and uh, this is Little Walter Rock Bottom, which is another double album. It's a double CD collection of what's that, 47 of his singles that were released for on like Chess and labels like that. And I remember after washing up the dishes and drying them and putting them away, I would put while doing that I'd put these CDs on. Me and my little brother and I, sorry, would do that, and then with the remaining songs, I'd rush off and get my one harp that I had at that time, and I'd play along with tunes. If they were in the right key, of course, it would be a very good thing. If they weren't in the right key, then of course I had no conception of what that meant. I had no idea about music and keys and stuff. But what can you say about Little Walter? Like the instrumentals, like obviously Duke, it's the one that went to number one in 1952. But you've got Backtrack, you've got um, Rock Bottom itself is a great instrumental. You've got Sad Hours, and then you got his version of Key to the Highway, which was done in G on a C harp, which was the version of the harp that I had at that time. So I always loved playing along with that. It's got Otis Spann on piano on that version of the song as well. And there's only so much you can say about Little Walter before you sort of go into realms of absurdity. But that really, it just fires your imagination, really. It's just quality. It just really is. It's just quality. Without him, I'm not going to say that I would have ended up at rock bottom, but my life has improved because of knowing who Little Walter is. My fifth and final album that I'd like to share with you is the eponymous debut of the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. 1964. Does it say here? I believe it is. 1964. Powerful harp playing from Paul. Powerful guitar playing from Mike Bloomfield. Elvin Bishop as well is on rhythm guitar. And it's just, it's real energetic, powerful blues. It is proper blues. Now, it was a racially integrated band. The rhythm section was Sam Lay and Jerome Arnold, which they'd poached from Howlin' Wolf. I think Wolf could have been a very intimidating fella, but I think he recognised that these young white upstarts could probably offer more money than he could, so I think he said fair cop and let them have it. But hearing these versions of songs like Blues with a Feeling done slightly differently, but they're still identifiably the same song, I think that probably it was another album that I'd be playing along with the harmonicas, but it gave me this thought that, well, do you know what I'm doing as a young Caucasian chap in trying to recreate and pay homage to this music, homage, isn't too far away from what people like Butterfield were doing in the 60s. So if he could do it, I could as well. So there we have it. Five, the top five albums that I had when I was starting out listening to this music. There are plenty of others. Magic Sam, Albert King, Blind Lemon Jefferson, Pinetop Perkins, James Cotton. I'd be here for a long time telling Lurie Bell. See, I can't stop myself. But if you have any memories yourself relating to any of these albums that you'd like to share, comments are down there below. Please do. I'd love to hear from people. I mean, this channel of mine is all about spreading my love for this music. And since discovering these albums and learning from these albums, I've met some brilliant friends through this music. I'm still involved in it today. I'm involved with putting gigs on at Bletchley Blues Club and Dusty's Blues Club near High Wycombe. And I've, got a group of my own and all this, playing all these different instruments. But that's more recent history. And that's another story for another day, I think. Basically, I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to discover this music, to learn from this music, to continue to listen to it and play it. And I hope that you lot do as well. I hope that you lot are here because you enjoy the same music or you want to get turned on to some blues. You'd do a lot worse than following these examples. So if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button down there underneath this video. It just helps the algorithm. The only way I've been able to get all this growth recently is because I've been just filling the algorithm of YouTube with all these video stuff. So give it a like, subscribe to this channel if you've just stumbled across it. Who knows, maybe we can get it to 105 subscribers. Maybe even 106. But yeah, I think that's all for now. I'll let you go. This is the end of my sermon. Who knows, there may be more. I've got boatloads of vinyl as well to go through and share with you. And it's just recommendations. You know, if more people pick up on this music and enjoy it, then I suppose I've done a good thing. Maybe, but it's just for the love of the music, really. So I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your days, everyone. As I said, any thoughts and stuff, let me know in the comments, and see you soon. Cheers all.